Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here.
Jason.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. Welcome to Real Terror Month, a series where we take a look at and discuss the movies that will send chills down your spine. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Tommy Jarvis goes to a graveyard to get rid of Jason Voorhees' body once and for all, but inadvertently brings him back to life instead. The newly revived killer once again seeks revenge, and Tommy may be the only one who can defeat him. John, I have something to tell you about this movie.
What's up?
I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would. So let's backtrack a sec. Before we get into that, right? We left off the last movie, probably the worst thing I've ever seen. As far as a horror movie, we came off the excellent 4-part series of Friday the 13th. I would consider that the original 4 movies, right? The 4 parts. They were great. We went to part 5 and, the shit hit the fan, if you'd like to say that, to be generous. Tommy was destroyed. Anything they set up was wrecked story-wise. The movie was horribly directed. There was no Jason. So what does the studio do in response? Jason comes back. Jason lives. And I have to admit, my number one positive about this movie is it doesn't take itself too seriously.
I don't think any good horror movie should take itself seriously.
And you know what? It's interesting because this one's a very divisive film from the fans. Unanimously, I think fans of Friday the 13th like this movie. There's some people that really love this movie. Some people, this is actually their favorite Friday the 13th film. Other fans, I think they think it's okay. I wouldn't say anyone dislikes this movie, especially if you're a fan of, the Jason Voorhees character. This movie, though, takes it in a completely different direction. Essentially ignored part 5. It ignored everything that happened with Tommy putting on the mask and becoming the killer. This movie's like, no, we're not playing with that. And a lot of the early marketing reflects that, too, for this movie. Alice Cooper, who has a song in the movie, which is fantastic. I really like that song. They have a trailer with him singing this song about, Jason coming back, and like the poster said something along the lines of, he's back for real this time. Like, we're not messing around. Jason's really in it, because they knew like they made a mistake last time, and I think it knocks it out of the park as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely has got some good music in it.
Right. So what did you expect? Well, let's start. Did you have any expectations going into this movie after the terrible part 5? We both didn't like it. So what were your let's just talk about expectations going into this.
My expectations were very low.
Very low, right? Like bottom of the barrel low.
Like in the grave for low.
Get it? In the grave. It's pretty funny.
Started in the cemetery.
Right. So then you watch this movie. How do you feel initially? What are your initial feelings?
I enjoyed this movie. The weird thing is watching this movie after watching the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because this movie's so much more of what you want Friday the 13th movies to be with Jason and everything, that like you kind of forget about the last one of how big of a joke it was.
Right.
And you kind of can get into this one with like the kills that it has. I feel like it's a decent movie.
So let's dive in right away.
Head first.
Literally. Jason. Well, Jason's a little different in this movie. So we brought back Jason. There was no good way to bring back Jason, but I think this movie maybe found the one that was actually serviceable and kind of hilarious at the same time. Tommy goes to dig up Jason Voorhees because he wants to burn the body and put an end to his psychosis that he's been having this whole time.
All you need to know is Jason's dead, right? Seeing his corpse ain't gonna stop the hallucinations.
Seeing it won't, but destroying it will. Jason belongs in hell.
And I'm gonna see he gets there.
So he goes to dig up the body and he stabs him with a shovel or like a pole or whatever it is, and it gets struck by lightning, and that resurrects super zombie Jason. And now
Frankenstein.
Now Jason he's supernatural officially. He's only been a normal. It's kind of interesting too that Jason's really only been a normal guy up until this point. I mean, he's ugly and disfigured, but essentially he's not super powered by any means. But now Jason's got like a full arsenal. He's supernatural. He's immortal. He's got superpowers. He's got everything in this movie. This Jason's the Terminator. We were saying that earlier. He was starting to be. No, this Jason Voorhees is literally the Terminator.
No, this Jason is bulletproof.
I think, yeah, he gets shot like 10 times. Does he get shot with the shot? He gets shot with the shotgun like 3 or 4 times. And it's funny because the sheriff shoots him and he like rolls over a little bit and then he just gets right back up.
That's one of those like
it's the most
funny
no-sell thing I've ever seen in this movie.
Jason's kind of just like, I could do this all day if you want, but the scene can't go on for longer.
But why does that work, right? It's such a contrast of characters. We had the old Jason Voorhees who was skulking around, just wanting to murder people, and he had a vendetta. This Jason just wants to kill people for no reason. He's literally a machine, a zombie killing machine. And I think it works because of the comedy. This movie's pretty funny. I laughed a lot at just how awkward and dark the humor was. Even the kills. The kills are all pretty much hilarious.
Well, yeah, I feel like he's kind of trying to go get revenge again, though. Like, he wasn't happy about how it ended last time. So now he's like,
I would argue
I want to come back.
He got brought back to life, and he just kills. That's what he does. He's going back to Camp Crystal Lake, which... It's funny because this movie's very tongue-in-cheek with that. Like, Camp Crystal Lake, they renamed themselves. They're like, oh, we don't want to be Camp Crystal Lake anymore.
I'm sorry about what happened to you and your folks years ago, but no one in Forest Green wants to be reminded of what that maniac did here. That's why we changed the name. People want to forget this was Crystal Lake, and they don't need some kid stirring up Jason shit again.
My favorite part, though, is the gravekeeper. He's, like, digging the grave. He sees Jason got dug out of the grave, and he's, like, digging, and he starts saying... Oh, I don't know why people find this entertaining. And he, like, looks at the camera.
Why'd I have to go and dig up Jason? Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
I love when movies do that. He broke the third wall out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, again, this movie does stuff like that. And again, everything's just so creatively dark and hilarious.
That guy's got a lot of good, like, parts, too. Like, there's one part where... He's drinking, like, alcohol, and he's like, oh, this is going to kill me.
Darling, you're going to be the death of me. Yeah, but what a way to go, huh?
Yeah.
And then Jason breaks his, like, flask and kills him with it, or the bottle. And I thought that was kind of ironic in a way.
It is, but again, this movie just works because it's not afraid to be silly. It's not afraid to make fun of itself, yet pay tribute to the past and craft something maybe, I wouldn't say original because we've seen all this before, but it makes fun of itself at the same time by also just being pretty cool. Jason's still a pretty cool character. There's a scene when he there's a bunch of paintballers in the woods. Again, in a normal Friday the 13th movie, at this point, we have random fodder all the time, right? There's always people that are just going to get killed because that's just how the plot calls for it. The one guy has a machete, right? So we know Jason's going to be going for that guy. He needs that machete. That's his weapon. That's his weapon of choice. Jason grabs the machete from the guy and rips his arm off, like, accidentally, and then looks at the guy's arm like, oops. That's what we're
Smash
dealing
his
with here
head
in this
into a
movie.
tree.
And again, and maybe a weaker director would have made this seem like corny or super cheesy, but to me it just comes across really funny and I like it. I really did enjoy it. Jason's got a little bit of a sense of humor now.
Jason can joke around. He can chill out a little bit.
And then even the more serious kills in this movie are hilarious. One of my favorite ones, which they don't really see too much, but the girl's like she's walking around the cabin and she hears a noise, so she goes to look out the window, and Jason just picks her up and grabs her out of her bunny slippers. Her slippers like fall off and you see her fly out the window. Again, that's so stupid and silly, but I like it. I think it's really it adds something I feel like that's maybe been missing from Friday the 13th. I don't know if you would agree with this. All the movies overall are decent, right? All the early movies, so part 5 obviously, but part 1 through 4 are like decent, right? They're okay. This movie I feel like finally gave it an identity. It gave it like a sense of humor. And maybe that's what was missing possibly from Friday the 13th all along. This movie, I would say, is even filmed pretty competently. There's a lot of really cool shots with Jason. One of my favorite ones is the overturned van, which was a pretty cool sequence. And you see Jason just stand on top of the van with it in flames. That's a really cool shot of Jason right there. That's pretty iconic, I would think.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's funny that this movie, another thing it serves as, at least in my opinion, it serves as a soft reboot of the franchise, right? So at this point, what do? You had an amazing first form films, like we said earlier, then you had garbage, so your only option, I think, is to reboot. And I think this movie did that extremely successfully. It rebooted the character of Jason by giving the series a new identity to go forward. Whether or not they stick to that's a entirely different story. But I feel like the movie, once again, like part 4 kind of left it off in a good direction. This movie kind of did the same thing. It left it off in an interesting direction. And now they even give themselves an excuse because Jason can't die. Jason's immortal. Another thing I like is Tommy. Where was this Tommy in the last movie? This Tommy was actually, he's not a good actor. No one's a good actor. We'll get that right off the bat. No. Everyone's a terrible actor in this movie. But at least this Tommy was likable, right? This Tommy was at least a likable character for the most part. He had some energy and delivered his badly written lines competently enough to where I thought he was more interesting.
Are you sure this is going to work? Why don't we just bring the gun and blow him away?
The only way now to stop Jason is to return him to his original resting place, where he drowned in 1957.
Like Forest Green.
At Crystal Lake, this nightmare began.
But at least Tommy was likable in this movie over 24-word Tommy from the last movie who couldn't spit out a sentence and knew karate. At least this Tommy knew what he was doing. The final confrontation, which I thought was actually pretty clever too. I actually liked that whole sequence. It kind of added, like, again, if you can skip part 5, which I would recommend. If you go from part 4 and then go to this film, I think you're getting a better story because that made more sense. Like Tommy, he has to finish off Jason. This felt like the end of Tommy's story. This is the last time Tommy appears in a Friday the 13th movie. So again, it's like the end of his story too. So they were kind of wrapping up the loose ends. That way in the future they can go in other directions, I guess. Sorry. I had like Vietnam flash forwards, I guess, right there for what's to come. But again, the final confrontation was unnecessarily cool. Like, why did Tommy light the water on fire? I mean, you didn't want Jason coming out of the water? No. I mean, yeah, maybe that's the explanation, quote unquote, but it was just to look cool. Fighting Jason like a boat that's surrounded by fire. It looked awesome.
Yeah, but I also thought that was bad though, like trying to get to that part. Like how he's calling Jason out and he just keeps calling him stupid names. Like,
oh, what did he call? He called
supposedly
him a pussy.
Tommy!
Come on! Come on, chicken shit! Come on, I'm standing here waiting! Come on, you pussy!
Like, this is gonna
You
affect
pussy.
Like, Jason's like, okay, I can go kill this girl. Or I can go in the water and go kill this guy who's calling me names and going, hey, you! Like,
that
he's
makes
just trying to
sense.
make him mad and everything.
I'll
And
give
Jason's
him that because Jason's pissed. He killed him. Tommy killed him, and they brought him back to life. I'd be pissed off
Yeah.
too.
But then he almost killed
Jason, don't
Tommy at the
forget.
end, too.
No, but again, the climax is cool. He puts the chain around his neck and drops him under the water. I think that's a cool thing.
Also, too, like, this is the first Friday the 13th movie with children in it, too.
Yeah, and
Where you
none of them
actually
get
see,
hurt.
like, the kids finally show up to camp or something like that, you
Yeah.
know?
What if he did come back here? Looking for the camp counselor that caused him to drown as a boy. Searching for the one that decapitated his vengeful mother. And you do know what today's date is, don't you? And I can think of only one thing, even more terrifying.
What? Yay, the kids are here.
Here they are, and they're all yours.
I think I'd rather deal with old Jason.
Yeah, every other time it's like, hey, we have this camp that we're supposed to be starting.
Yeah, we're
Never
always
happens.
starting a camp. We're never actually like having a camp, and
Yeah.
it is great that they actually have a camp going on. And the kids are kind of funny in this movie. Like, there's the girl who sees Jason, then he walks towards her, and
Oh,
she's
yeah.
saying a prayer. And
No, lay down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake up, I pray my soul to take. No, lay down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake up, I pray the Lord my soul to take.
then Jason hears something and like wanders away. And she's like, "Oh my god, thank God he's gone." Or the other kids.
We'll come back and get you. I promise. Go. Lie down. Stay there.
What do you think?
I think we're dead meat.
They're like the camp counselors. They hear them screaming outside, and they're like, "Oh, so what do you think?" And the other kid's like, "We're dead meat."
Real dead meat.
So, what were you gonna be when you grew up?
Yeah, I like that part.
Again, the humor in this movie, I can't applaud enough. There was a point where I knew this movie was going to be different. And I think that's like the opening credits right off the bat. As soon as I saw Jason come out acting like James Bond and slashing the screen, I knew we were in for something completely wild and different, and the movie didn't disappoint me in that regard.
See, I got nervous too in the one scene where those two people are pulling up to the camp, and it's the girl and the guy, and they're like on a date, and then all of a sudden she goes, "Oh my God, I've seen so many horror movies."
Darren, we better turn around.
Why?
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
And then all of a sudden, like, she backs up and then gets stuck and then goes forward again.
Right, it's
And
self-aware.
the guy decides he's gonna get out, like, because Jason pops their tire and he.
Oh no.
He decides, oh, let me get out and shoot him now.
All right, scumbag. Get out of the road. Now.
Darren, get back in here right now. He'll kill you.
And if I get him first...
Because that ever works.
And like I said, the movie just does such a good job at I like humor like that. Maybe it is a preference, but I like self-aware humor, especially because the series, it doesn't have to take itself seriously anymore. The serious storytelling's been done. Now let's have some fun with the series. Let's try something new, because obviously whatever we did in part 5 didn't work. This was a chance to experiment, and like I said, very successful in my opinion. Very, very successful. So there are some negatives. Not overly terrible negatives, but there are just some things to speak about. Overall, I do feel like this movie doesn't do anything new, right? I mean, like I said, I acknowledge the humor. The humor is a great thing, and I think it's fantastic. But the story essentially is the exact same thing we've gotten over and over again. Reused, recycled horror tropes, all that nonsense. It didn't really add anything new, minus the cool finale and some of the more interesting kills that are in this film.
But there's also
nothing really stands out.
Action shots, Kev.
Yeah, well, but
car
again,
chases.
If they just get us to Cunningham Road, I could lose him. Stay down.
Whatever you say.
It doesn't really, like I said, it doesn't really add anything, unfortunately. I wish it did add some newer things. Again, it added some really iconic kills, I think, to the Friday the 13th franchise. But overall, the story is just what we've seen before. Also, this movie feels cheap. I don't know how much the budget was for this movie, but when you look at it, a lot of it feels very TV movie cheap. I don't know if it's just the effects or the clothing that they were wearing. It just felt very cheap. I felt like I was watching this as a TV made for TV movie at times. Even the effects are just pretty bad.
Be quiet. Yeah, some of the kills you can tell it wasn't a person's head. It was some other kind of object and stuff.
And that's okay because you can ignore it, right? You can ignore it because it's creative. A lot of the kills are either funny or creative or a combination of the two. But again, it just feels cheap. Everything else, even the scenery, you can tell they filmed in 2 locations, maybe. Literally in someone's a large backwood camp area. That's really this movie's very short, which is actually a positive. It doesn't outstay its welcome. This is actually the shortest in the Friday the 13th series, being 84 minutes long, and that pace is breakneck, no pun intended. Moves quick. I felt like there weren't any dead spots. It kept my attention the whole time. I was just curious to see where this craziness was going to go most of the time. The only other thing, and it's not really a negative to this movie, because what were you going to do, right? I mean, there wasn't much you could do. Just the fact that they just kind of gave up on Tommy. They pretty much gave up on his character.
Whoa, what's your name, son?
Oh, tell me, Jarvis, but look, we've got to do something.
He's even more powerful now. Aren't you the kid whose mother and friends were killed by that maniac?
Yeah, Jason murdered him.
You've been in some psychiatric clinic ever since, haven't you?
This movie is just all right, we got to get rid of him. We don't want to use him anymore. They don't kill him, but they just end his story. I feel like it was a missed opportunity. Again, I'm not hating on the writers or the director for this movie, because what they made is really good. I really do enjoy it. Not the best in the series, but it's still a very respectably well-done movie. But like I said, I think there was just a lot of lost potential, and I'm still a little hurt by that. I'm sorry we're never going to get the movie, that Tommy Jarvis killer movie that we could have had. That would have been pretty cool to come from, the parts 1 through 4 had developed over time. Well, I think we're at that point in the view where we're going to give our Real Kill Award. Due to the nature of the season, myself and John will now select a recipient of the Real Kill Award, a special award given to the kill we think is the highlight of the film. John, who would you like to present your award to?
My award goes to Court. When he gets killed in the van, he gets stabbed right in the neck when he's driving away after his girlfriend just got smashed through the wall. I thought that was a pretty cool kill because he gets stabbed right in the neck, and then all of a sudden it flips over and everything. I thought that was a good kill.
Right. That whole sequence is just very cool. I would even say maybe just the two of them, their deaths together, are a very like fun combination. And like I said, I can't stress enough, I love how we get that iconic shot of Jason standing on the flaming van. I really think it's just the coolest thing I've ever seen. I would like to present my Real Kill Award to Sheriff Garris, who gets folded in half. So
I like that one too.
Jason is superpowered crazy monster man now, and the best kill, and I've said this in previous reviews where we've talked about Jason, is I love when he's physical in his kills. I love when he gets in there and he's going to take care of business. Jason literally grabs the sheriff and folds the man in half backwards. It is by far the craziest thing I've ever seen. It doesn't look particularly good, but at the same time, the fact Jason just folded a man in half, I don't think I'll ever forget that image. I would also like to give an honorable mention to Tommy's friend in the graveyard. Just seeing Jason now fully resurrected zombie eye worm Jason Monster Man grabs the heart of his friend and rips it, pushes it through his chest. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. That was a Mortal Kombat kill. That was literally like a fatality right there. Over the top, crazy, zany, pretty cool. Now, John, did you have any other kills that you really liked in this movie?
I mean, I kind of thought that it would have been cooler if we got to see the one girl that was killed inside the house where her blood was splattered all over.
That was really cool. Thank you for bringing that up. That was a really cool visual, right? I mean, this movie, also we didn't talk about too, this movie has no nudity, right? There's zero nudity. This is the only Friday the 13th movie without nudity, but they make up for that in spades with the gore, because that whole scene, that little cabin is painted in blood. I wonder what happened in there, because that's pretty bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, very cool. Like I said, it's just funny, that whole sequence too. Everyone just like kind of peeks in at one point or another just to see what happened in there. And I think it's even funnier because they reuse the same shot. Each time, it's just the same shot of all that blood. I don't know if they did it once, and so they had to use stock footage just to show the cabin again. But again, just very cool scene in general. I think we're at that point now where we're going to give our final scores. I'm going to give Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, a B-. To me, this is not the best entry in the series. I still firmly stand that Part 4 is the best Friday the 13th movie. However, as far as being, I think it's comparable in its own way to the original Friday the 13th movies, because I think I stuck at a B- for between 1 through 3. That was where I was scoring. So to me, this is comparable in a different way. While not being the true horror movie, I mean, you can argue there's really no scares at all in this movie. If anything, there's more laughs than anything else in this entire movie. It does something different. It reboots the franchise in a positive way that they may or may not stick with in the future. I guess we'll have to see. But for what this movie is, and I can see why there's a lot of huge fans of this movie. John, where do you stand on this one?
I give this movie a C+.
This is great. I remember you said it.
I feel like it had everything you want in the movie, but not like too much of it where it was like, I mean, it was a really good movie, but It wasn't like blow me away. So that's why I feel like it's like a C+.
You can
close
argue,
to what you gave it,
Yeah,
but
it's comparable for you too with the other ones. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, you could make an argument it is a little too goofy at times, but hey, at least the soundtrack's killer. Gotta love that Alice Cooper.
He's back, the man behind the mask, and he's after your soul. He's back, he's the man behind the mask.
Anyway, John, where can the people find us at home?
you can find us on YouTube, The Real Movie Guys on YouTube. You like our channel, subscribe to it. You could also comment down there Let us know what you thought of this movie. Is this one of your favorites? Where does this rank on your list of these Friday the 13th movies?
Yeah, let us
Also,
know.
you can find us on Twitter. You can let us know there too. We're at The Real Movie Guy on Twitter. You can also listen to us on many podcasting platforms such as...
Yes, for your listening pleasure, we are also available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places. If you already are right now, hey, greatly appreciate it. Just search Real Movie Guys. We'll pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy over there, he's John. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. And don't worry, there are more scares to come as Real Terror Month continues. We will scare you next time.
See ya!